Life has a strange way of revealing who's truly in your corner. The moment you start improving, when you begin to rise, evolve, and break free from the limits of your past, you'll notice something. Not everyone will clap for you. Some will cheer, but others, they'll whisper, they'll doubt you, mock you, or even try to pull you back. Why? Because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your discipline reminds them of their laziness. Your ambition exposes their excuses. And instead of being inspired, they become bitter. You see, people love you when you're easy to define, when you fit inside the version of you they've always known. But the moment you step out of that box, the moment you demand more from life, some will feel threatened. Your success becomes a mirror reflecting what they could be but choose not to be. And that is not your burden to carry. Never shrink yourself to make others feel comfortable. Never dim your light just because it blinds those who refuse to open their eyes. You are not responsible for their bitterness. You are responsible for your greatness. So keep growing, keep evolving. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them throw stones. One day, they realize that while they were busy being bitter, you were busy becoming better. And by then, you'll be too far ahead to even hear them. Heavenly Father, I come before you with a heart full of gratitude. Thank you for the wisdom to grow, the strength to evolve, and the courage to walk the path you have set before me. As I strive to become better, I ask for your protection against the bitterness of those who do not understand my journey. Lord, I know that not everyone will celebrate my growth. Some will doubt me, some will envy me, and some may even try to pull me back. But I refuse to let their bitterness shake my faith or dim my light. Instead, I pray that you fill my heart with love, humility, and unshakable confidence in the purpose you have placed within me. Help me stay focused, to rise above negativity, and to keep moving forward with grace. If others grow bitter, let me respond with kindness, wisdom, and a heart that seeks peace. May my success be a testimony of your goodness, and may I inspire others to seek their own growth rather than resent mine. Lord, I trust that as I become better, you will surround me with the right people, those who uplift, encourage, and walk alongside me in faith. And for those who choose bitterness, I release them into your hands. Let their hearts find healing, just as you have healed mine. I declare that I will not shrink, I will not dim my light, and I will not be discouraged. I will rise, I will grow, and I will glorify you in all that I do. In Jesus' name, amen.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again.
And you ain't see me activated. You better roll for it, man, I'm not perfect.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again. You can't stop what's moving. You can't stop what's moving. I'm changing my life, and I won't look back ever again.
I get it. As much as we try to close our eyes and ears to the naysayers and haters, sometimes those close to us may say, think, and do things that cause us to second guess our decisions. But I am telling you, you don't have to worry about their perceptions of you. And you can't blame them either, because they probably just don't understand you. However, we should keep walking our unique paths, and saying the following affirmations will help recalibrate your focus and move forward. Therefore, sit still and say, I am stronger than any negativity thrown my way. I refuse to let bitterness of others affect my peace. I rise above hate with love, wisdom, and confidence. My growth is my priority, and I will not be distracted. I am secure in who I am, and no one can shake that. I release all resentment and choose inner peace. I forgive those who envy me, for they do not define me. My success does not require the approval of others. I choose love over hate, peace over chaos, and growth over stagnation. What others think of me is none of my business. I am worthy of success, happiness, and fulfillment. My light shines too bright to be dimmed by negativity. I do not need validation. I validate myself. I stand firm in my purpose and trust my journey. My value is not determined by those who misunderstand me. I attract people who uplift and support me. I choose to focus on my blessings, not my burdens. My mind is free from toxic thoughts and distractions. I am surrounded by love, abundance, and divine protection. Every day, I grow stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable. I am too focused on my goals to be bothered by negativity. My purpose is bigger than my past and stronger than my haters. I trust that God or the universe is guiding me toward my best life. I am becoming the best version of myself, and no one can stop me. My success will speak louder than any hate ever could. You can now open your eyes, but remember to say these affirmations daily and watch your mindset shift from frustration to unstoppable confidence. Keep rising. The Stoic Handbook, page 27. Book 5, page 10. The phenomenon of existence is so veiled in obscurity that it can baffle even the best philosophers. Even the Stoics themselves have difficulty and admit that all our opinions are subject to change. For where is the man who is infallible? Book 5, page 16. The habits of your thoughts will become the character of your mind, for the soul is dyed by the thoughts. Dye it, then, with thoughts such as these. Wherever one lives, one can live well, even if he must live in a palace. Book 5, page 28. Are you angry with those who have smelly armpits? Are you angry with those who have bad breath? What good is your anger? One person has a bad breath, another has smelly armpits. It is normal for such odors to come from such things. Book 5, page 33. Soon and very soon you will be ashes or skeleton, and you will either be a famous name or you won't. But even a great name is only a sound and an echo, and the things which are much valued in life are empty and rotten and trifling, like little dogs biting one another, and little children quarreling, then laughing, then a moment later in tears. Book 6, page 10. The universe is either chaos and randomness, or it is unity, order, and providence. If it is in the former, why should I wish to remain in such confusion and disorder? And why should I wish for anything other than returning to the earth? And why am I disturbed? The dispersions of my elements will happen no matter what I do. But if the other supposition is true, then I venerate and I am firm, and I trust in the God of nature who governs. Book 6, page 21. If anyone is able to convince me and show me that I do not think or act correctly, I will gladly change. I seek the truth, and no one was ever injured by truth. Injury only comes to those who persist in error and ignorance. Book 7, page 18. Is anyone afraid of change? Why? What can take place without change? What is more pleasing or more suitable to the universal nature? Can you take a bath unless the wood is set afire and undergoes a change? Can you be nourished unless the food undergoes a change? And can anything else that is useful be accomplished without change? Do you not see then that changes in yourself are just the same and equally necessary for the universal nature? Book 7, page 54. Everywhere and at all times, it is in your power to revere the gods by being content in your present condition, to behave justly to those who are about you, and to exert skill upon your present thoughts, so that nothing shall steal into you them without being well examined. Book 7, page 65. Take care not to feel towards the mean-spirited as they feel towards you. Book 8, page 5. This is the chief thing. Do not be disturbed. All things are in accordance with the nature of the universe, and in a little while you will be nobody and nowhere, like Hadrianus and Augustus. Next, focus steadily on your work, and at the same time remember that it is your duty to be a good man. Do what nature demands without turning aside. Speak as it seems to you most just, but with an even disposition and with modesty and without hypocrisy. Book 8, page 28. Pain is either an evil to the body or to the soul, but it is in the power of the soul to maintain its own serenity and tranquility, and not to think that pain is an evil. Every judgment and movement and desire and aversion is without where evil cannot ascend. Book 8, page 55. Wickedness does not harm at all to the universe in general, and the wickedness of one person does not harm to another in particular. It is only harmful to those who have it in their power to be released from it as soon as they choose to do so. Book 8, page 58. He who fears death either fears the loss of sensation or a different kind of sensation. But if you have no sensation, you will not feel any harm. And if you acquire another kind of sensation, you will be a different kind of living being, and you will not cease to live. Book 10, page 4. When others are mistaken, instruct them kindly and show them the error. But if you are unable, blame yourself, or don't even blame yourself. Book 12, page 5. How can it be that nature, after having arranged all things so well and benevolently for humanity, would have overlooked the fact that some of the very good among us, those who have had the most communion with the divine, and through altruistic acts and spiritual practices have been the most intimate with the divine, when once they are dead, their life should be extinguished completely? But even if it was so, we can be assured that if it ought to have been otherwise, nature would have done otherwise. For if it were just, it would also be possible, and if it were in accordance with nature, then it would have been done. The DOE, an extreme synthesis of the discourses of Epictetus. The greatest tribal warrior who ever lived, Genghis Khan, 1162 to 1227, was probably illiterate, but undoubtedly a master of the keen memory and oral tradition that has been with us for millennia. Khan's 150,000 cavalry warriors didn't move in a single massive column, as was common in his day, but were broken into many units and spread out over great distances. The difficulty in managing such an army was in communication. Virtually all his soldiers were also illiterate, including most of the officers, which meant that all messages had to be communicated orally. As we all know, the farther you are from the source of any oral information, the more it gets distorted. To prevent misunderstanding, all those codes of conduct and battle orders made by the great Khan were composed in a commonly known Mongolian poetic style, set to music and sung by the men as they rode on horseback. What follows is written in the form of verse for the same reason. It's easier to remember and likely to be distorted with repetition. It's meant to be memorized. Mem or memory exercises were very much a part of classical Stoics education. What you will find here is an extreme synthesis of the discourses of Epictetus, the DOE, organized and composed into a common poetic style, blank verse. The DOE is a meme, a memory exercise that can begin each day and or as often as needed, when one wishes or needs to remember Epictetus' marching orders for life. The DOE, one rule to unite us, live in agreement with nature, two maxims to guide us. Good is virtue that evil lacks, all the rest is indifferent. Good and evil are in the will. Only will is in our power. Three studies abide us: judgment and inner discourse, desires and the rising passions, actions and the noble duties. Here, the sage inside us, practice, 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 practice. One rule. Epictetus remarked that it was a rule in life to do what was in accordance with nature. For if we desire in every matter and every occasion to conform to nature, we must on every occasion evidently make it our aim. Discourses 1:26. The actual heading of this chapter of Discourses is entitled, What the Rule of Life Is. About this there can be no doubt. From Zeno to the end of classical period, the Stoic motto, which is said a number of ways, in harmony with nature, in agreement with nature, conformably with nature, all mean the same thing. There is one rule that unites all Stoics and all aspects of Stoic philosophy. This is so important that Epictetus even matter-of-factly states that anyone who does not live by this rule will wander up and down, entirely deaf and blind, supposing himself to be somebody while he is nobody. It is important to remember that living in agreement with nature does not mean living by tooth and claw and survival of the biggest, strongest, and fittest among us. That would be a better description of many other creatures. No, our unique ability given to us by nature is not bigger teeth and muscles, but bigger brains. Using reason is our way, or should be our way. If there is any doubt in your mind about the one rule of life, read Epictetus. True maxims. The first maxim: good is virtue that evil lacks, all the rest is indifferent. The essence of good and evil is a certain kind of moral purpose. What are things outward, then? Materials on which the moral purpose may act in attaining its own good or evil. How then will it attain good if it be not dazzled by its own materials? For right principles concerning these materials keep the moral purpose in a good state, but perverse the distorted principles in a bad one. This law God hath ordained, who says, if you wish for good, receive it from yourself. Epictetus, Abid 1:29. Good is virtue that evil lacks. What does that mean? We have already seen from our general principle that the good and only good is virtue. Only that which is good and can never be used for undue gain and immoral purposes qualifies unequivocally as good. Only the virtues are good in every situation and on every occasion, and therefore qualify for the name that must always be honorable, the good. So, the good is virtue. The cardinal virtues, as you will recall, are wisdom, justice, courage, and decorum. Virtue that evil lacks means that evil is simply a lack of virtue. That is what evil is. That is it. Evil is a lack of virtue. It has nothing to do with committing a frightful sin whispered into your ear by a prince of darkness that is calculated to bring about the wrath of a vengeful God. That's a children's story. If evil is a lack of virtue, then evil is the absence of wisdom, justice, courage, and decorum. We can use bad and evil interchangeably. What we commonly call bad, canon, is not really bad. Sickness, poverty, and exile are indifference to the wise. Even death, because it is the inevitable and natural process of change, is neither good nor bad and must be one of the indifferents. There is no evil in nature, only in human beings when they act without virtue. Just as virtue is the only good, so it is that the actions of persons lacking in virtue are the only sources of evil in this world. Now we come to the end of the first maxim. All the rest is indifferent. This is one of the most important concepts in Stoicism, and one we must all learn, remember, and return to time and again. These are what Epictetus constantly refers to as externals. Good and evil come from inside, internal, not from outside of us, the externals. The externals are matters that belong to others, as well as the inevitable changes and consequences of nature. All those things we commonly call good or bad, see above, are neither good nor bad and are only indifferent. Only virtue is good and only the lack of virtue is bad. So, except for wisdom, justice, courage, and decorum, or the lack thereof, all the rest are indifference. What are indifference? What does that mean exactly? For years, I placed little value on the indifference simply because I didn't really understand them. The Epictetus quote about the indifference are materials upon which the moral purpose may act finally sank into my thick skull and rearranged my thinking on matters altogether. In looking over what I have written on the subject in the past, I could see I was saying all the right words, but not really knowing them in my gut. It's so easy to gloss over the indifference when you learn that you must be indifferent to everything but your ethical behavior. That's what I did, and that is not what it means at all. To isolate virtues without indifference is to exist in a vacuum, which is impossible and absurd. Without the indifference to work on, you have no virtues. In fact, you don't even exist. Indifference give us something to do in life. They are your life. Everything that happens to you is an external, an indifferent, and what you do with everything is what defines your character as noble or ignoble, good or evil. To say you are not going to have anything to do with externals is ridiculous. You really don't have a choice. Your only choice is what you do with them and how you act upon the materials you have been given. It's like the potter sitting at his wheel. The indifferents are like the clay. How can the potter be indifferent to his clay? Without the clay, he has nothing to do but watch the wheel spin around. The potter cares about his clay. The skill of the potter in working with his hands to form a beautiful and useful vessel from this lump of clay is like the skill of the Stoic in working with the cardinal virtues in forming a noble character. The Stoic's clay is made up of indifference. Without the clay, the indifference, the potter, and the Stoic have nothing upon which to practice their skills. Here's another example. I am thinking of joining a local ball club. I have a little free time and a little talent, and I really have fun playing ball. I also know that being a member of the team will expose me to a lot of yelling, cussing, temper tantrums, and occasional outright mean-spirited play by individuals on my team and on the other team. Being a member of the club is an indifferent. All the unpleasantness are indifferent. So, should I avoid playing altogether and have nothing to do with this activity? No, of course not. I should play the game. That is what life is all about. How I play the game is what matters. The same is true for every activity: politics, starting up or running a business, taking care of a household, law enforcement, and on and on. Don't be afraid of your clay, the indifferents. Don't avoid them. Use them, enjoy them, work with them, practice, practice, practice. The second maxim: good and evil are in the will. Only will is in our power. Good and evil are in the will. Stoics believe we choose either good or evil by exercising the power of our will. In fact, not only do we have this choice, it is our only real choice, and it is our choice alone. Friends, enemies, tyrants, no one, not even a god, can take away the power of choice to do good or evil that we have in the will. As Epictetus said of tyrants, "You will fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can get the better of my free will." Such a great power we have. Think about it. Think about what a great discovery the Stoics made about the power of the will to choose to do good or evil. But before we go on, perhaps we should make sure we know what our will is. When in doubt, we can always consult a dictionary. Here's what mine says: the mental faculty by which one deliberately chooses or decides upon a course of action. B. Volition, the act of exercising the will. When we say that only will is in our power, we say that good and evil only exist in our mental faculty as a choice, and only this choice between good and evil is in our power, nothing else. That is where our power ends. Everything else is either in the power of another individual or in the will of nature. But now, although it is in our power to care for one thing and apply ourselves to one, we choose rather to care for many and to encumber ourselves with many: body, poverty, brother, friend, child, and slave. And by this multiplicity of encumbrances, we are burdened and weighed down. What then is to be done? To make the best of what is in our power and take the rest as it occurs. And how does it occur? As God wills.